Thank you very much, Pastry. Resilience out of this IMA squad after really what was the beginning of this game. A downward trend for IMA. I mean, right out the bat, this was a very scary game for IMA based on the early moves that Flash Wolves was able to make.
Yeah, early game, I definitely think you could see that IMA are a team that plays on 3 languages. Like, Flash Wolves has been through this before. They had a Korean Kramer, but they said, you know, we need all Mandarin speakers, so they got NL back in. And I really think the coordination showed through. They're that kind of team that's very coordinated. They sync together. They invade well. The problem is they picked a comp that has really low range and no engage.
And I just want to kind of clear up like the 3 languages thing. So for IMA, it's Cantonese, Mandarin, and Korean. So technically 2 of them are dialects, but Voidless and Amazing J are your Cantonese speakers, and then you have Jinja as your Mandarin speaker, and then of course you have Athena and Road as your Koreans, although Athena now interviews in Mandarin.
And the play that we're talking about where this really surfaced was the jungle invade, right? Voidless is a smart jungler. He wanted to go, answer that blue buff invade with the blue buff invade of his own. However, the other his solo laners were not on board with this plan. And Amazing J did not come down from top lane. And Athena couldn't really move up on the Vlad from mid lane as well. So it ended up just him by himself. You know that feel as a jungler when you're all alone in the enemy jungle, and that's where it really snowballed for Flash Wolves.
And here's the thing, we heard the stat echoed by the casters during the game, but Flash Wolves in the last 27 games where they had a lead of 1,000 or more at 20 minutes, they have not lost. Here, they had that kind of a lead at 10, 15 minutes even,
yeah.
and they stuck right in it, and they drove it back.
I know we were watching all the game, and I looked over at Kobe, and I was like, 5v5, there's no way that they win this, but 6v5 with Baron.
Well, then let's talk about that one. Our first replay of this game will be that Baron fight. I made 3 for 0 around the Baron. You mentioned exactly that. Choosing the right time to fight here, recognizing that straight up 5v5, they might not be able to take it.
So this seems really little, but I want everyone to pay attention to what Maple's doing on the top of your screen, and he used his pool. And why that's important is because it's about to bite him in the butt right now. He's going to go in for an engagement, and he goes in, he immediately has to Zhonya's. He doesn't have his pool available, and that eats up so much time for his invulnerability so he can start to do more damage. Because again, Maple is massive right now. That Vladimir is huge, and he's not getting the work done, and it's a simple use of the cooldown that really burns him.
I wish we would have had one of the damage charts for how much Baron did in these Baron dances.
That'd be great.
IMA as well, because they were consistently landing the poke from Athena, but also 1 or 2 members was always tanking Baron for Flash Wolves, and then a Voidless again and again with the Zac, constantly with the long-range engages.
And Clement, I think that's where we return to your point about the lack of engage that was drafted by Flash Wolves, because we definitely saw with Athena's Varus able to wave clear that mid and stall out the game that Flash Wolves, at a certain point, they didn't feel like they had any way to win the game aside from baiting that Baron.
They really didn't have enough pressure points on the map. I didn't think they used MMD really well. He was up like 30 CS, and the bot lane was up like 50, 60 CS. They didn't continuously poke the towers down. They just didn't group up and just shovel lane somewhere. They should have managed the pressure a lot better. And in the end, they're just like, okay, we're out of ideas. We're just going to keep on going through this Baron dance again and again. And it didn't pay off.
Exactly. And that Baron, we talked about the 6th man Baron in that first fight. Now we've got a Baron buff. We go ahead to the game-winning fight around Elder Drake. We're going to pull that one up and take a look at this steal here from a Voidless.
I mean, there's nothing to analyze on this. He gets in there with the Zac E, drops the smite at the exact time he lands, and steals it away.
It does get super satisfying, though, when you highlight a player and he shows up in his first game on an international stage and shows up to play, making the plays when they count. Got shut down early game from Karsa, but came back in the late.
A 3 for 0 there on that fight. They'll then push down the mid lane to pick it up. But now I want to go ahead and look forward in this tournament. As you mentioned, a Voidless, we built him up. He performs. He's going to receive that player of the game for this one. But my question is, will this team be able to shore up whatever weaknesses they did kind of showcase here in that early game so as not to be taken advantage of further down the line?
I mean, frankly, with SKT looking as dominating as they have against Cloud9, this is a danger for both Cloud9 and IMA. Yes, IMA won that game, and you're congratulating because you won your first game on an international stage, but ultimately both Flash Wolves and IMA should walk away with that and go back for a lot of review.
Right now, so Kobe then on the side of Flash Wolves. I mean, wow, my goodness.
TSM just went on the stage.
Walks onto the stage. We get drowned out. Who cares about the analysts? No, but for Flash Wolves then, let's go ahead and identify for them, because once again, we talked about the fact that, hey, they got out to a great move. Is this just a champion select thing? It can all be solved by giving themselves more tools to take advantage of their leads?
There were problems far beyond champion select there with that Baron dance for Flash Wolves. They really started to lack the coordination we were praising them for in the early stages of the game. It almost felt like they went on autopilot after they got that big lead.
Yeah, the main thing I think is a support choice. You see Sword Art, he was very dominant on Alistar this time. On Karma, he really didn't have much engaged tools. And I don't think they managed the pressure from the side lanes very well. This has been a consistent problem for the Flash Wolves. If they do MMD and let him split push and draw attention, I think they can get something off the map.
To conclude this matchup, we just have to award a Voidless, that player of the game, here on the international stage. You know, as we mentioned, he was playing that jungle route correctly in the beginning, not necessarily supported by the teammates, but doesn't let him tilt. He comes in with the clutch steal at the end. Great play on that Zac, and as we saw earlier, it was banned against Meteos. He's kind of making the statement game for Zac, saying this is a viable jungler here at Worlds.
Definitely in this group.
Yeah, at least in this group.
Nailed it.
Yeah, all right, well then, the score is settled in Group B for now, and it's time to look towards Group D as TSM and Samsung Galaxy take to the stage in just a few minutes. You already heard the crowd going wild for them. Don't go anywhere, we'll be right back with more Worlds 2016.
This is a really interesting one. There's two teams that most people know a little bit less about than they do the big Western teams, the big Korean favorites. And I think a team like Flash Wolves could go far in this tournament.
Into blobs and a teleport. I love this. Gonna save the final blob. I am. Might still go for it. Oh no!
You're supposed to.
Oh no! Oh, feels bad, man. And now the dive is coming. Jinjiao gonna fire away, but Soda gets one.
谁推上我先推上 ，we can open now。他没有中奖，带上。走。
And MMD just can't do enough in Magnar Fall. Maple falls and I may win 3-0 in the team fight. Might get the steal as well. Maple dives in. He wants to fight it. He got it. Dragon steals it away as a voidless. For an I may, I'm going to take down their first Nexus of the World Championships.